Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at yet another wonderful mod, this time in the form of the Submarine Pack, which is being made by forum user Fengist, who you may remember is the same person who brought us the Maritime Pack that we looked at quite a while ago now, which of course added into the game a whole load of parts for making boats to explore the surface of the ocean, and now it would appear that Fengist has set his eyes on a new target, under the ocean, by making this submarine pack, which of course adds in a whole load of parts to build submarines. So let's just jump right on into the spaceplane hangar, because oh my god, these parts are wonderful and I've been having a lot of fun with this mod so far. So the first part is the submarine conning tower, which looks very similar to the yacht one from the Maritime Pack, though this one has been turned into submarine variety, I guess you could say. Oh boy, I was about to say submersibilized, but that's not a word in the slightest. But yes, the conning tower is very useful, has a crew capacity of 2, does have a built-in antenna with data transmitter, some light of course, a reaction wheel, SAS, electrical charge, and also does provide some air intake, which is useful for energy production, which we'll talk about in a little bit in the engine tab. But first, well, you can't have a submarine without the hull, and all of the hull pieces are in structural, so we'll start off there by having a gander at the submarine cargo bay, which is quite nice. You just attach it to the bottom of the conning tower, and you notice we have a nice open area here that we can light up, and of course open up the cargo bay doors so you can get stuff in and out, you know, maybe load a rover into here or perhaps a small airplane, something along those lines. Very nice, very cool. Now the next part that we have is the submarine crew quarters, which, oh boy, come on, attach. Come on, there we go, lovely. And this same size as the cargo bay, but this, rather than holding cargo, holds a total of 8 crew members. Sadly, no internal view yet, nor an internal view for the conning tower. We don't have one there either, and that's because, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, this is an initial beta release of this mod. This just came out like 2 days ago, so it's gonna be sort of bare bones at the moment, but still, even at that point, it is really, really fun, and I'm really enjoying it. So, sadly, no IVAs, but hopefully those will come in the future. Now, other fun things, we of course have lights we can turn on and off on this part, and also my favorite part, the raised railings. Boom. You know me, I'm a sucker for a good animation, and I don't know why, but those railings just make me happy. Oh, they're gorgeous. But yes, that is the crew quarters. Very cool. Now, the next 2 parts that we have are just straight-up hull pieces to extend the ship. They are, as the description describes them, the largest collection of styrofoam ever, and they are just different-sized generic hull pieces in either a 10 or 5 meter length, depending on your need for extension, and they're very nice, very useful. Now, actually, I probably should have kept one of these on here for the next 2 hull parts, and that would be the bow and the stern, which we'll look at together here, because these are probably, besides the conning tower, the 2 most important parts of this mod. You cannot launch a submarine without them. These 2 parts hold the compressed water, which is the resource that this mod uses, which, oh, the Maritime Pack also used and still confuses me. The physics behind compressed water is just, oh boy. But then again, it is Kerbal Space Program, so what are you gonna do? But each of them holds 70 compressed water, and what you do is you add water in to sink the ship, which is why I just wish they would have called this ballast, because, well, that makes more sense. But, oh well, it's compressed water. And yes, what you have to do, and what adds difficulty into this mod, and also, of course, the fun of it, is balancing out the compressed water in each, because even though you're going to be adding in water into both of them at the same time, well, the stern tends to sink quicker because it's a lot, all the water is in a more compressed place, it's a bit more spread out here, and so the nose is going to dive down sooner than the stern is, so you've got to balance these things out while also not adding too much water so that you don't sink all the way to the bottom and smash on the ocean floor. It's difficult. and a little frustrating, but it's what makes the mod interesting and a little bit complicated, but it's fun. And yes, besides having the compressed water in these, the bow of the ship actually is another crew container which holds 4, and again with the fun animations, if we zoom in here, we have this raised cover which shows us the hatch that the crew can use to come in and out, and then they can, you know, party on the yacht front of the bow. Little interesting. And they can actually go up and down these stairs, which is something you can't say for the conning tower. The Kerbals cannot go up and down these stairs. It's a little disappointing. But they can access these, which is useful. Now, on the back, we don't have any crew compartments, but we have a flag. Again, I like the animations, and this, I don't know why, but just this little flag that pops up and down, very, very cool to me. And this also, besides having, not having crew rather, it has an attachment point on the back for an engine, and 5,000 electric charge to power said engine. So very, very useful in that regard. We do have, let's just grab something, there we go, a nice attachment point there, which again, used for the submersible engines. Very nice. Now, talking about engines, we have 2 additional attachment or radial attachment points here for engine pods, and they just come in 2 different size varieties. The smaller one being of the 1.25 size variety, this one being of the 2.5 size variety, for holding the different size engines. Now, we also have, before I forget, a helo pad that you can add to your submarine as well. This is also in the maritime packs, from what I remember. So yeah, just a nice helicopter pad for you to visit your submarine with planes or helicopters, I guess. Nice little part. But focusing on these radial engine mounts, let's actually head back up to the engine section where we actually find these 2 engines. Now again, it's just the 2 different size varieties of the 2.5. There we go. And the 1.25. There we go. Beautiful. And these produce quite a nice little bit of thrust. The large engine produces 150 and then consumes electrical charge, though it doesn't say exactly how much. And then the smaller engine produces 70 thrust and again consumes electrical charge. Now you create said electrical charge by using this submarine diesel generator, which plays a part with the conning tower. That air intake that this produces gets used by this generator, and it uses that air intake plus the 600 liquid fuel that's in the generator to produce 4 electric charge per second. And it's quite nice. It is technically an engine, which I find strange, but you know, it does have a max thrust of 0.001. But yes, it won't actually move the ship at all, but will produce that nice bit of electrical power by consuming 0.469 in air intake and 0.02 liquid fuel per second. Very, very nicely fuel efficient, so it will last quite a while with that 600 fuel. Very nice indeed. Now, the next part that we have is quite possibly one of the most important parts. It isn't a necessary part for your submarine to function, but it's very useful. And this is the submarine dive computer, which amuses me that it's a Commodore. And this dive computer assists you in controlling that ballast. Like I was saying earlier, the ballast is kind of a pain in the butt, but it can be made a little bit easier with this. The problem with this dive computer is it works very, very slowly. It will help you even out the ballast into your tanks, but very, very slowly. And if you're kind of impatient like me, oh boy, not quick enough in the slightest. So I would like to see this help out a lot more quickly than it does. But it will help quite a bit, especially when it comes to the realm of keeping yourself at a sort of a standard depth. So if you want to stay at like 100 meters below the surface, it has an auto buoy function. Oh my god, I cannot pronounce things today, but an auto buoy function. And that will keep you at a sort of standard depth. Whatever depth you're at, it will try to keep you there, which is quite handy. Now, the rest of the parts that we have are down here in utility. And if we go to the next page here, The first of them is the submarine water compressor and decompressor, which is what you actually use to add water to the bow and stern ballast tanks, and also what you use to take it out as well. It compresses or decompresses the water. Again, the physics of that, but oh well, what are you going to do? Now then, we also have a ship spotlight, which is quite useful. It's, well, a spotlight, and I do like the look of this thing. It's, you know, the nice sort of classic spotlight design with the hinge, etc. We also have this submarine floodlight, which is quite useful because, well, these are cool for adding to the bottom of your submarine so that once you're getting close down to the ocean bottom, you can actually see that so you don't crash into it. Very useful in that regard. And then the submarine dive planes. Now this functions very similarly to a wing in aerodynamics and has a lift rating of 2, but is of course meant for the submarine to help give you a little bit more control. Very, very nice indeed. Now that is all the parts, so let's load up a crappy little submarine that I made earlier and have been playing around with quite a bit because it's, oh boy, it's fun. And talk about 2 more things, actually, before we head out to the launch pad. The first is a part that I forgot to talk about. Now, I'm going to cheat this sub into the ocean. I'm going to use HyperEdit, because that's what I do. But if you don't want to cheat to get your submarine to the water, you can use these clipper cradles. They attach to the side of your ship, and then you can attach, say, like a wheel to the end of them, like that, and roll the whole submarine down the runway, and then once you're in the water, they are a decoupler with, oh boy, how much ejection force? 10 ejection force, so they'll just drop away from your submarine and you are good to go. A very useful part indeed. Now, another thing I didn't talk about is you may have noticed on all of the parts that I've looked at, we have this splash effects on button, and every single part of the submarine has that. And that is quite a nice feature because, of course, you're going to be in the water, which means every time your submarine moves, it's going to cause a splash, which if you have very little RAM or if you have a really big submarine that takes up a lot of resources, yeah, splashing might not be good for you because I'm guessing it creates particles is what's going to affect your performance of your computer. So you can turn the splashes on or off for every part, which is just a convenient little extra feature to help with performance. But let's head out to the runway now and take a look at a couple more things we couldn't look at in the spaceplane hangar. And the main things I want to have a gander at here are some features of the conning tower. Now, of course, it can light up, which we could have shown inside, but I forgot to. And notice these little spotlights here. Very, very cool. I like that they sort of pop open. Nice little animation to that. We then also have this underwater camera, which I'll talk more about momentarily. We then also have this raised cover, which similarly to the raised cover in the front, allows you to have access to here, though again, your Kerbals can't get up these stairs, so that's a little bit pointless. We then have the antenna that we can extend. There we go, so you can do the communication of any research you have. We can also close the air intake, because remember, the air intake is used by that diesel generator, and we can close or open it, which gives a nice little animation. And a fun feature of the submarine is this air intake will actually automatically retract itself when we go underwater, which is just that nice little extra feature that just makes it intriguing and nice. I quite enjoy it. But yes, that's, yeah, that should be good on everything. Let's turn on all the lights. Oh my god, those are bright. Yeah, see, that's what you use those lights on the bottom for. They just illuminate everything below you. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So let's grab HyperEdit and get this thing onto the water. So set to current. We'll change you to not that far out. Let's just go to 6, where we were in the last episode with the SpaceX barge, and release from the supports, and then land nicely in the water. Ah, gentle, gentle, ever so gentle. And there we go. Excellent. Beautiful. We're in the water. We have lights going everywhere. So, first things first. As I said, not necessary, but very useful, the dive computer. Now you notice we're sort of bouncing up and down here, and you can help with that by turning on the auto keel, which will try and keep the submarine at this sort of angle, which it refers to as sort of dive angle of 0. And now how would you know the dive angle, you may be asking? Well, that's this show info button here, which is very, very useful for this submarine stuff. Oh boy, it is again why I think, even though it's not technically a necessity, you should always add the dive computer to your submarines, because this shows how far to the bottom of the ocean we are, so currently about 900 meters, and what our dive angle is. And so you can know that this auto keel function is working, because hopefully you should be at 0. Now you'll notice the activate auto keel actually deactivated itself because we leveled out to 0. So it will automatically turn off whenever it does reach 0 and assumes that, hey, we're good, we're at 0, so you can just go straight forward now, which is useful, but I would actually honestly prefer that it didn't deactivate itself, because sometimes I forget if it's on or not. Now the auto keel, that's what that does. It tries to maintain that dive angle of 0. Now the auto buoy will try, as I mentioned in the spaceplane hangar, will try and keep you at whatever depth you're at. So if we go 50 meters down, it will try and keep us at 150 meters from the bottom of the ocean, etc. So that's what the auto buoy does. And blow ballast completely empties the tanks immediately, launching your ship back up to the surface, which can be very, very dangerous because it may very well launch you into the air and then you explode on impact. I've had that happen several times to me so far. Good times, good times. Yes, how we actually use this whole thing. What I'm going to do is well, we can't actually really activate auto kill yet because we're already at 0, but we are going to activate the compressor, which you just right-click on the water compressor there, and you can see that we have activate compressor, deactivate compressor, which is odd that it has both those buttons. This one goes away once you do activate, or the activate one goes away rather, so if we hit that, it went away, and now we are starting to take on water in our bow and stern, and this will start to sink us. Now, this is where things get interesting with this mod. I'm going to activate auto keel to try and help me keep this thing level, but as I said, the auto keel is a very slow function, so it can't really keep up with the adding all the water to the bow and the stern. You can already see that the bow of the ship is lowering down because it's just too heavy. So let's turn off the addition of more compressed water into the bow, so the stern should start getting more water into it, and we should hopefully start to level out. And there we are with the fun and difficulty of being underwater in this game. Oh boy, we're actually going to turn off the compressor now, deactivate, and you'll notice we are in a precarious position. The nose of the ship is all the way down, and that's not good. So what I'm going to do is also activate auto buoy so we don't sink to the bottom of the ocean. And the auto keel is trying to actually get us back to that dive angle of 0. You'll notice if we open this up, even though I've stopped the compressor, it is adjusting the compressed water amounts in this tank. And it's actually what it's doing is it's transferring the water between these two tanks to try and get them to a sweet spot level so that we're at a dive angle of 0. Now, I could do this manually myself, but I'm horrible at that, so I just let the dive computer handle it, and I just kind of sit and wait until we reach 0, because if I try to do it manually, it's all going to go to hell. So while it's leveling itself out, let's talk about that dive camera that I mentioned here. Now, right now, we're using the default camera. We can spin around, but we can't really tilt the camera. Now, if I go to the front, back, etc., any way we go, we can only tilt this far. That is as much as I can tilt around, so I can't get the camera to, say, be under the submarine. So it has this activate underwater camera. So if we hit that, there we go. The camera all flips around, and we can now officially go around to wherever we need to be to get exactly the right angle. So we have the same camera controls we do when we're normally on the surface. Let's also lower the cover. That seems odd that that's open while we're underwater, but you will notice the air intake did automatically go down itself, as I mentioned earlier. But yes, this is the camera once you turn on the auto underwater camera. Now, it gets a little weird when you're surfacing, because once you automatically go above the surface of the water, it switches back by itself to the normal camera. And when you're trying to surface, you have a tendency to bounce up and down in the water or not, so it can occasionally jump back and forth between the two camera modes a couple of times within a few seconds, which is weird, but I mean, it works. So, what I'm going to do now, we've now officially sort of gotten back roughly to our good dive angle, and we have kept ourselves, by using the auto buoy, at roughly the 678. So what I'm going to do is turn off the auto buoy, and we should start to sink, slowly but surely. Now what I'm going to do is actually add a little bit, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward. I'm also going to save real quick, just in case I break my submarine, so I can just reload real quickly. And yes, I'm going to wait until we get towards the bottom of the ocean so you guys can actually see it, because right now it may look weird being in this camera mode, because we're just in this weird gradient between light and dark. It makes a lot more sense once you get close down to the bottom of the ocean. So I will fast forward time a bit and bring you guys back once we're there. So I'm just going to have to add more water to the compressors, I guess. And see you in a sec. Okay, so bringing you guys back now, it's been about, oh boy, 10 minutes probably, of adding a little bit more water here and there, switching back and forth between having auto buoy turned on and having it turned off so that we don't drop down to the seabed too quickly. And yeah, we are at about 50-ish meters from the bottom of the ocean, and our lights are lovingly illuminating the place, and it's just wonderful. I love having the submarine down here. We have the where our launch point 10.5 kilometers away behind us, and it's just a good time. I do quite enjoy it. It is lovely down here. Ah, yes. The serenity of being underwater. So beautiful indeed. But yeah, that is how you essentially control this thing. If you want to go up and down by adding more or taking away ballast, you turn on and off the compressor, or turn on the decompressor, of course, to get rid of water to go back up. And personally, I just use the auto kill because I am awful at manually controlling these things, but that does mean it goes a lot more slowly. If you were to do this yourself, you could probably do it more quickly if you weren't inept like I am. And of course, the auto buoy, keeping us at roughly this 57-meter height from the ocean bottom. Good times indeed. Oh boy, I just really do love it here. Ah, underwater is glorious. It's so beautiful. Now, one thing we haven't done yet is turn on these engines. Now, they are pretty nice little engines, so let's activate them. And I do love that sort of idling sound, though at the same time, I don't know, it just seems odd to me. It sounds kind of like a diesel engine, but of course, these are electrically powered engines. So it's a little bit interesting. Now we do have reverse thrust for them. As you can see here, we can set a reverse thrust, which is quite nice. We have the engines activated. I also have them on an action group to deactivate them. And I love that clunking sound to turn them on and off. But if we turn them back on, sort of zoom in, you can see they are slowly rotating in idle. And if we throttle them up, they just get a little bit quicker there. And we slowly move across the bottom of the ocean and use our lift planes here to give us a nice little extra bit of control. Now you'll notice, there we go, we can angle ourselves up and down. And now they are going to try and angle a bit upwards. I'm not touching the controls right now because that auto buoy is trying to control the SAS to keep us at this height right here. So I can, angle ourselves up a bit if I want, but when I let go of that, it's automatically going to return it back down to try and keep us at that height. So there we go. Beautiful. That lovely little dive computer. I do really enjoy it. It's quite nice. But yeah, we can sort of trundle along on the bottom of the ocean at a fairly slow pace. I don't want to go too fast because, well, I can't really see in front of me. Now, a couple of things I should mention as for oddities on this. One of them is that, oh boy, this mod, if you go too deep, you're screwed. I believe I was reading earlier that the max depth of the ocean is 1,000 meters. Anything beyond that, and you actually enter the mesh of the planet itself. So that's not a good thing. You're definitely going to want to avoid that. And yeah, there are a few oddities with the parts as well. Oh god, I'm trying to remember all of them. I'm actually somewhat forgetting them now that I'm just sitting here. The decompressor can get a little wonky when you are decompressing. Don't forget to always check that you have these either turned on or off to control whether you can access those tanks. I've had it in the past where I accidentally forgot that both of them were turned off, and the compressor, it just, I don't know, it just sort of freaked out and it fell. It literally just fell out of my submarine, and my submarine split in two. It was bad. But, you know, stuff happens. Other oddities, like I said earlier, that ballast or blow ballast is, oh boy, I mean, it's sort of an emergency procedure, but let's actually do that now. Let's cut our engines and actually just completely turn them off and blow the ballast to show you what this does. So, both of the tanks now have 0 compressed water in them whatsoever, so they're just gonna fly up into the air, which isn't good in the slightest. And boy, we are going up quick. Oh boy, in our just an uncontrollable ascent. And there we go. We are airborne. Yeah, that's not good. Now, surprisingly, thankfully, we actually went airborne like we did. As I've landed sideways like we're doing now, after being launched way up in the air, and it's actually exploded my submarine. But yeah, since we came down nose down, it actually ended up quite nicely for us. Let's activate the auto keel. And yes, oh god, I'm trying to forget what other oddities I've encountered so far that I've been here. Oh, I was playing around with the better buoyancy mod because I was curious if it affected it, and yes, it does. And I'm also just noticing on the my other monitor that is a sort of known compatibility issue. Better buoyancy just doesn't want to play nice. Other camera mod apparently also doesn't play nice because of our underwater camera that we have. And yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to remember any other bad things, but at the moment I seem to be forgetting them. I did run into a few other minor issues, but all of them quite minor. The biggest one was definitely don't go below 1,000 meters. The planet does not exist then. But, you know, this is just a really, really fun pack. You're making freaking submarines. And theoretically, if you could get them into space, you could take these to other planets. Go to Eve or, oh god, doesn't Lathe have oceans? I haven't been to Lathe in so long, I've forgotten. But you could if you wanted to, and that would be a thing. But yes, it's a very cool mod. If you would like to try it for yourself, you can take a look at the link in the description. And yeah, that is going to be it for today's episode, folks. It's kind of a long one, but a lot to explain with controlling these submarines. So I hope you all have enjoyed and that you do play around with this mod, and if you do make a cool submarine or send a submarine somewhere interesting and cool, I would love to see it, my friends. So you could tweet me or Google Plus or Facebook me a pic. I would appreciate it. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this episode today, and of course that you do come back for the next. But until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.